In this video, we're discussing why this chart at this level is the most important for us to be looking at for the week ahead. We'll also be talking about our technical analysis levels for the SP 500, Nasdaq, Tesla, Bitcoin, dollar index, and more. It was a wild week on the stock markets this week with ups, downs, and all arounds going on. But the question is now, do we have any clear direction for the week ahead for the markets? Stay tuned to find out more. Okay, well, as we like to do on the channel together, let's have a quick look at the heat map for the Friday session to get a bit of an idea on how we ended the week. And it was a sea of green, guys. We had semiconductors finally up through the sessions. We had Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, Tesla, all moving strongly, and only really some of the defensive sides were moving weakly. When we take a look at the actual indices, you'll see why Nasdaq and Russell were both up very heavily. Then we had the SP 500 1.45%, and even the Dow Jones coming along for the ride with 1% up. Now, with the Dow Jones so low, what does that mean? It means tech was out near the lead, 2.2% here from tech. Energy 3.1% coming back into form, and defensive sectors, again, you see them down here: consumer staples, utilities, and healthcare, all kind of being riled up with a 0.5% increase. Very little there on the defensive side, kind of showing that risk was back on for the Friday session. Now, when we go over to the beats data, things are looking a little bit worse than they were, but of course the big companies are out of the way. We've got a 79% beat rate currently. And remember, this was up near 90% near the start of the earnings season, even with some good data coming through. And now we're starting to fall behind. 79%, more in line with a normal earnings season. So we'll probably end up about 77, 76 once this is all said and done. Remember to check out Earnings Whispers, not that we're any kind of affiliation with them, but we'll post that in our Discord community. Join the Discord community by following the free links below in the description. Come in, guys. There's heaps, there's thousands of people in there now. It's a great discussion group. And of course, we've got the private group there as well. Let's have a talk about this volatility index, because as per usual, volatility spiked, then volatility dropped. 18.8 on the close. And I said all week that I was really looking for a weekly close above 20. We did not get that. We just got a spike in volatility, which kind of leads to think, oh, well, maybe this is all over already. But we do have more analysis to do throughout this video, but this was a little bit disappointing for the bears. Of course, they really did not regain control there of the SP 500 through the Friday session. We'll talk about that more in just a few moments. Dollar index was one of the ones copying the brunt for it. We can see here the monthly, how much it's come down. We go into the weekly here, ended up about 90.30, not really a great significant level. But if we go to the daily, you'll see here, it's just kind of making a series of lower lows and lower highs. Dollar index still looks really weak. I mean, we had that breakout that occurred through the jobs numbers, through those misses or hits in the economy that ended up leading to dollar index strength. We theorized it would go to around this level, and now we're in the middle of nowhere. So we really have very little direction here in the dollar index for the week ahead. I mean, if you are looking at this chart, you would say, oh, there was some support here, but it hasn't turned around. So you're going to actually need to see some strength, something like a lightning bolt, a trough, a peak, a higher trough. That's the type of thing that we're looking for here. Maybe we'll cover it early in the sessions. Now, weak dollar, what's that meaning for commodities traders? Well, gold had a go. It went for our 1842 zone. I'm very keen on seeing gold break through this level. If we see a break, let's say we go 1850, there's a 200 simple moving average right around that zone. I then expect a pullback back to this level, and let's hope we can move on to the next zone for gold. Gold's looking really strong. We've been on this train for a little while now as a channel and as a community. 1874.5 is our next resistance, and I'd love to see this break this week. It'd be a really cool kind of opportunity here on gold. You can see here the 200 simple moving average just around that 1846, 1850 zone. So I expect closure above on smaller time frames, pullback, and let's hope for the 1875. It's probably going to need weak dollar though. Silver, another one that's doing quite well. I think we've kind of base formed here in silver. We found a low, we found a peak, we found a higher low or a higher trough, and then we broke through. We were watching this through the session, and this all looked very strong. Bad close at the end, but again, things like 2050 cross here on the 2 hour, some actual real momentum that's coming through here. And what I'm looking for is really for it to pick up around this zone. Hopefully the silver squeeze can continue with gold, and I think if gold breaks through 1842, silver will come with it. But there's actually more opportunity in silver. Think of it like this, crypto fans, if you're out there. Gold basically is Bitcoin. Silver is basically Ethereum. Now, when Ethereum runs, what do you get? Higher returns. So same with silver. You get higher risk and higher returns in terms of raw percentages out there. Speaking of crypto, we'll quickly go through to the market here. We've got Bitcoin before we go to the stock market. Bitcoin is still dealing with this 51,300. I think we feel very comfortable with this level. We talked about these huge rejection wicks and how positive they were for Bitcoin. And I still think that Bitcoin, once it gets through this zone, we move up to the 54K relatively easily, and then hopefully continue on to getting back into that channel range, which had us kind of stuck up there around the 59.5. Bitcoin just has to get through here. And of course, Elon Musk was the big driver behind this sentiment. And I cannot tell you how many people have come to me and they've said, oh, I think Bitcoin's over, but they believe in the rest of the coin market. You need Bitcoin to stand strong. Of course, Ethereum's holding the crown right now, but Bitcoin has to get back through here for you to make some good money in other coins. So I always watch this. This doesn't change just because of the last week. It's still the one that drives the sentiment in the market and has the most amount of interest in it at the end of the day. Good wicks, 51.30. Hopefully it breaks through the weekend. Speaking last thing of crypto, I just want to mention this DOT trade. We talked about this in the Friday session. I was pretty bullish on DOT. I think I really like this series of higher lows coming in. I also love the rebound and how the rebound occurred. We saw this in Link. When we had a crash, DOT really picked up heavily. Now, last time it was lackluster. It barely picked up, whereas Link, Chainlink that is, picked up massively. So we saw this resistance get broken through, and it was a very significant break. Little bullish hammer coming into this, little long leg doji, and a strong resistance. This has now taken it up to the 48. Why has it stopped at 48? Because that was where that last wick went to. But I feel like DOT should be repricing itself, and it all comes down to market capitalization size. If we have ADA so heavily up, then of course DOT needs to come along with the ride and be proportionately the same kind of size. So hopefully that continues to run throughout the weekend. Let's now move over to the stock market. We'll start off here with Tesla, and Friday's session was really big for several stocks. We'll talk about which ones were the best, but realistically, we did have still fairly big weakness here from Tesla. I don't like a 589 close. Now, Michael Burry is well known for having shorts on this thing, and he believes it's going all the way downtown. But this is not a good close. Did we come off a similar point than last time? Yes. If we go to a daily, you'll instantly see we sold off once, closed around 561, which is very similar to this time, and then bought up. But last time we bought up, we had a rally like massive. I mean, it was like 20% in a day. This time around, the rally was just not there. So while there was a lot of buying, and of course Tesla was up 3%, so you can't say there wasn't profit to be made there. It just has me very scared about this chart. And you go down and there's just nothing here showing strength. So this weekly has me very worried for the market. And of course, if the Nasdaq turns around again, I really feel like Tesla is coming back down, guys. We might stop at 550, might stop at 500 or 450. Each $50 increment will be purchasing power. However, that 450 base down here looks very, very interesting, and it makes sense to Fibonacci levels, and it makes sense to a lot of other things. So this is kind of like the stonk that I look at and I say, a lot of stocks or stonks went through supports last week. This one particularly did not rally, and the whole EV stocks are not going up. So I'm really kind of worried for Tesla. I've got to say that. Now, where do we come off here with the FAANG? So we talked about this a little bit in the private room. Someone brought this one up, and I was talking about the FAANG on support through the session. Have a look at this. We've got the resistances here. Then we created the support, and we had a great rally. But the problem is this rally has gone straight into previous resistance, previous support, and now is a 50 exponential moving average, and of course, the resistance overall. So I've got a little bit of problems here with the FAANG, and I think this is the point or the chart, one of the charts we need to be looking at. We mentioned the QQQ at the beginning as the most important chart. You'll see why, but the FAANG straight back up in here, and was probably one of the better trades, I think, for quality companies through the Friday session if you want to get into them at these kind of prices. Now, if we go over to the US 100, you'll see the exact same thing. Have we returned back to a point where it's going to struggle? Yes, we struggled here earlier in the week. Will we struggle here again? Support, resistance. The great thing for the bulls this week is if you see a closure above 13.4 on a significant time frame, we're back in. Basically, the correction is over in the Nasdaq, and you will see further strength. That, from a technical level, seems very probable because really what's happening here is you're breaking through a super critical zone. Now, if the bears take control, and remember, we need to see a lightning bolt, smaller time frame towards the short side for day traders to get into this type of thing, then we could be going back down to our fabled 12.7. And to illustrate this, I want to use the QQQ. It can be the Nasdaq or the QQQ, but we'll use this just because a lot of people trade it. So I want to talk about this pull down, okay? Went this distance. Then you had the pull up. Let's go from body to body, okay? So body to body, very similar kind of movement. Then we look at the pullback. So the pullback's about that length. So we'll just go the whole length here. What's just happened recently? The pullback length is very, very similar. Now, it's not just that. It's these moving averages. We've got the 20 exponential moving average on the 4 hour. We've got the 20 exponential moving average on the 4 hour. And we have what was critical support becoming resistance. So is it over for the bears just yet? I tend to think maybe not. If we actually took that initial distance and then we extrapolate that out, it also brings us into that 309 area, which is about 12.7 on the Nasdaq. So I'm still very cautious here about whether the market is going to go long or short. And we'll take a look at the S&P 500 soon. But for tech stocks, it's right where the rally could end. Rally gets above this point, pulls back into this point, which is what I'd expect. Yes, okay. Then you're talking about longs, and you still got some good percentages up to the top. Day traders, scalpers, all sorts of people will be in it. But this is still a very critical point for us to be looking at. And I think everyone can look at this and say, yeah, that makes some kind of sense. This is a very critical zone in the markets, and it's super interesting to see these types of things play out. So usually you get your kind of 1 move, 2 move, 3 moves. A lot of people know about these things, and it goes right into previous supports, which again makes sense to the narrative that we're seeing in the markets right now. 2 steps down, 1 step back, 2 steps down, 1 step back. Why did the volatility index spike so heavily and then drop off? That's also kind of the thing that you want to think about. Is this just a trap to take more retail money? We'll have to find out more next week, but that's what I'm looking at on the Nasdaq QQQ. Now we'll start off here on the weekly for the SPX, the S&P 500. And on the surface, this looks like a massive rally. I mean, we had sell off. 4120 was always our zone that we were looking at. It turned out to be correct for that bear day. Then it instantly recovered. And of course, we thought we would go down to the 3960 zone, the mean reversion down here, the weekly 20. It always comes down to this zone. But even last time when it sold off, it actually sold off, went up, and then it came down later. Will it be like that? I still think we need to touch this weekly 20, and I'm not sure unless the market really says, hey, I'm so bullish, things are looking good, then why is it up so hard? Is this some kind of trap as well that's going on here in the market? From all technical standpoints, it looks like S&P 500's ready to go more long. It's really just the QQQ, the Nasdaq that looks weak. 4120 was closed against. It hit the 50 exponential on the daily. Then we bounced off, we came up, and for a little while we found resistance. Let's have a look at this illustrated on probably a 1 hour chart, actually. Let's go to 1 hour chart. So you'll see here throughout the session, we talked about this on the live stream. We thought it would go long. It did. 4120 acted as resistance, sold off a little bit, rallied, closed above, and then went towards the next zone, which is around that 4160, 4180 area. Now, I don't really take too much stock out of this. I think it's hard to read the S&P 500 in the middle of nowhere land. I mean, you're not at a peak resistance, and you're just kind of like in the middle of a range that's traded a lot. So that's why I'm putting more stock in the Nasdaq right now. But if this tips over and if it turns down, what's going to happen now? Well, I think that even if we do come back down, 4120 is going to act as a bounce zone. So day traders are going to be sitting there at 4120 saying, I want to buy this market. And they're going to be looking for longs. At the same time, if that's happening, the Nasdaq's probably dropping pretty hard. So it's probably a tale of two markets. We've still got weakness here in the Nasdaq, in the tech stocks, but the broader market is still quite healthy from the technical levels. So this looks pretty strong. Any pullback this week, 4120 is probably going to be met by buyer demand. And it's really only if the S&P 500 gets back under that we're going towards the 3950. I wouldn't be buying this zone here again though, if it gets underneath 4120 again, because if it does that, there's something wrong, and it makes me think that we're going towards the mean reversion, the 20 moving average. What do you guys think in the comments down below? Please let me know what you are thinking about this week. Do you reckon it's a bull or a bearish week on, let's call it the Nasdaq? Give me the answer on the Nasdaq. Bull or bear on the Nasdaq this week? Put it in the comments down below. We'll move over to the IWM, the Russell 2000. Here we take a look at the charts, and instantly you'll see here that it's in the middle of nowhere land. It's kind of at a point where there's been some levels of support previously, which could act as resistance, but I would never trade this type of thing. I'd be looking for higher statistics. As I say all the time on the channel, it's not that you trade every day. Sometimes there's great opportunities and you take them because you know they're statistically likely. And sometimes you just gotta sit back, chillax, and wait for the next opportunity. Investing is different from trading. When you're picking kind of like levels that you like in stonks or stocks, then you can do it at zones because you believe in the fundamentals and you're finding those key support zone areas that you just want to buy at. But trading, you've got to be seeing the price action to get you through. Let's just quickly have a look at the calendar for the week ahead as well. When we take a look at this, and these times are for me here in Australia, so remember, you can just set it up Forex Factory or marketwatch.com. You'll be able to set it up for your time zone wherever you are in the world. And we've got the FOMC members talking all the way through the Tuesday session for me in the morning. This will be, of course, Monday open for you guys in the US, and it's just really a whole bunch of discussions there. No real super high combat news. We've got FOMC meeting minutes, a whole bunch of FOMC kind of discussions, but other than that, it's not really like high impact news coming through this week. So maybe we'll get to more of technical trading and a little bit of course, the economics of earnings calendar season. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you live for a special episode Monday. Please remember also to take a look at the Friday session if you want to get access to a good tool or join our Discord, because some of the community's been sending me some amazing free tools for you guys to improve your trading at, and they're great. I'm telling you what, they're awesome for free. That's right, free. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.